I will try to discuss the role of the nanotechnologies in the actual problem that we have with the virus. So you see, I'm part of the University of Perugia, and I'm in the, as Purnima said, in the civil and environmental engineering. So my expertise is on the material science. So what we are going to discuss today is the role of the materials at the nanoscale. So I'm not an expert in the biomedical field. So we will see what we can do with the nanotechnologies to fight against this great pandemic problem that we have. As already said, I'm part of the ECMP company that is completely devoted to the nanostructure material. So it's a European Center for Nanostructure Polymers. So we have a strong expertise and background on what we can do with the nano technologies in the field of polymeric materials. I decide to, if you can go, Purnima, slide with the next one. I try to see what is going to be done now in our country to develop something against this problem. So I have found in news from yesterday, which some chemists have tried to find a solution, make a computational research on how the virus can interact with the nanomaterials. So this is the curve that we have. I think it's quite similar to all the curves in every country. So we have a peak and then a slight decrease during time. So how we can put our role in the time frame of this curve? If we are just at the end. So here in Italy now we are in July, and we are expecting to positively react to the problem. So it's just a nice time to fight against the virus, looking at the trend that we have with the curve. So our country is going to make research in the field of viruses, looking at how we can use the nanomaterials. So in the next slide, I've tried, next one, Purnima, thank you. I've tried to summarize which kind of funding opportunities that we can have at country level. And being in Italy, I've also tried to see what we are going to do at European level. So the European community gave a lot of opportunities that are still open to submit proposal to verify how to solve this global problem. So let me say that in few months, not more than 2 or 3 months, there have been 20 European high-level projects in which data have been already funded, and this is a great opportunity that everyone can use to study by using funding from the European community. This is still also open to other countries except European countries. So it's open to even to India and the other countries. We are a specific call that has been closed a few days ago, in which we can try to fight the COVID by looking at how to solve it by using at the life science, at the physical engineering and science, to the social science. So we can try to solve it by looking at the material subject, and we have done it by submitting a proposal on how to treat, for example, the surgical mask, to verify how to sterilize it and how to reuse many times before putting it or recycling it. So this is only, let me say, an introduction to see what we are going at national level on this problem. In the following slides, I will try to show you and to summarize the review, the state of the art, of what the scientists are going to do with the nanomaterials just now. So the next one, the next slide. This is it's open to all. I try to put a photo of what it is already accepted at the European countries. Let me say that the material science is a small fraction of these funding opportunities. All of them are strongly related to the medical part, to the medicine, to the biomedicine, to the nanomedicine, and we are still in the infancy regarding the use of materials. So what we can do as a materials science community all around the world is try to find a solution from the point of view of materials. So how we can use the different materials, especially the one at the nanoscale for the COVID. Essentially, we can have three different ways of treating it. We are out. Okay, thank you. So we can use the nanomaterials to make it the function state, to fight against it, or we can use materials to treat on the surface what is in contact with the virus. So nothing to do with the as I said before, the expertise is completely different. So I cannot well explain how the nano entity can interact with the virus, but we can design and think about new biomaterials to be used to win against the COVID. So in general, let me say that this pandemic is not so different from it is said that something different from common viruses, but from the point of view of material science, I think we can try to fight it by using the common approach that we have all the viruses in general. So looking at the materials, we can try to design and characterize new materials having improved antimicrobial properties. We can try to think about new processing technologies. So if we want to interact with the dimension of the virus, we can try to make 3D printing by using the same scale of the virus. So from my point of view, we do not have to adjust our role to this new virus. We can treat it as a standard one. We have only to adjust what is in our hand. Let me say, we need to think about the possible surface chemistry of our material. We need to think about the shape, the size of the nanomaterial. This is the most important thing. So our role is to find the solution looking at these three main points. I mean, the chemistry of the nanomaterials, the size of the nanomaterials itself, and how to treat it in surface. Treating means functionalization or surface coating of every different kind of material to find the right interaction with the virus. So the next one, the next slide. As I say, this is a sort, the previous one, sorry, the previous one. In this presentation, as I said before, I've tried to summarize what is done in the world now. So there are so many papers related to the COVID that were published in the last 2 or 3 months, that every different paper try to solve a question. From the material science point of view, what we need to know is which is our role, where we can have a role in this fighting against COVID. We can use material to sanitize the surface, or we can think about the possibility to replace the standard plastic that we use for the gloves. We can modify the texture or the material composition for the respiratory equipments, for example. Or we can try to generate an antimicrobial response on the surface of this material. This is the role of the general role of the material science. So what we will do together is now to see how we can interact with the virus. So we can select the nanomaterial according to the chemistries, as I said before. So we can select, for example, natural material, metallic, inorganic, different nanomaterials with different shape, and try to find the nice and the best functionalization methodology to be used for the interaction with the virus. One of the problems that we have actually with the nanoscience and the nanotechnology, that seems the solution to the problem, or the best solution to the problem, is that we have actually no information at all on how we can deal with the safety of this material. So up to now, no one of us make let me say, rethinking on how to deal with nanoentities. So there have been so many studies to investigate the role of the nanomaterial from the safety point of view. So it's difficult to accept the nanoentities from the point of view of safety, and it's a long time to be accepted for a practical application. So we are working, the world, the scientists are working a lot on the use of the nanomaterials for the COVID, but actually we don't know if we're doing the right thing, because we don't know now what is the safe or not safe, if the product that we are developing is safe or not. This is the main limitation. Even if, as I said before, there are many scientists that are working on it, there is a limitation, because the side effect is a problem for the long-term use of this material. So the next one. So how we can deal with the COVID? Actually, we can use three different methodologies. We can try to make a diagnosis before, or we can try to prevent the contact with the COVID, or we can treat the virus after it came in contact with us. So how we can use the nanomaterials to treat this COVID virus? We can prevent by making our instruments, our equipments for individual protection more efficient. So we can improve the efficacy of our filtering instruments. We need to find a solution for the sterilization phase of this material. So it is well known that we cannot use this surgical mask, for example, for no more than 3 hours. And how we can deal with this problem from the material science point of view? It is actually done by using polyolefins. The filtering is made by usually is made by polypropylene or polyethylene blends that are not recyclable. They can be recycled, but they are not biodegradable. So one of the approach that we can have in solving this question is try to make filaments or filtering mask by using biodegradable materials, but this is not the solution because the interaction with the virus, the interaction with the moisture of the environment, with the moisture of the during respiration can be different if we are looking at the polyolefins or biodegradable materials. So this is a point to be solved. So it's not easy to think about a complete replacement of the filtering material with a biodegradable material. It's not so, we cannot do it easily. Even if we are able to adapt the processing equipments to the filtering units by making, let me say, electrospinning or other instruments, it's not easy to have a complete solid replacement of the mask with the biomaterials. How we can do it? We can try to formulate new filtering instruments. I mean, we can use the same material that we standardly use for the filtering mask by changing the antimicrobial behavior of this material. So we can prepare non-woven tissue or electrospan fibers, formulating the same material, the polyolefin ones, by introducing, for example, metal nanoparticles. Or we can try to include in the formulation some encapsulated material that can be released in a specific mode during the application. So from our point of view, let me repeat again the material science point of view, this is what we have in our hands. So we can modify the nanoparticles for a better integration with the in principle with the polymeric materials that is used for the prevention phase, but we can also use the nanomaterials to have a nice sensitivity towards the virus. So we can modify the interface by carrying new chemical features on the surface of the nanomaterials. So this is the role of the chemists and the medical people that know very well how to interact with the nanomaterials. So the next one, please. So we need to, in this case, we need to see on the, let me say, on the left part of the problem. So why it is not in our hand as material science to treat it and trying to solve by modifying the nanomaterial on the surface, thinking about the protein interaction, looking at the shape of the typical shape of the COVID virus. We know, all of us know very well that we have a spike on the surface, and what is the best way to interact with the virus. To find nanoparticles, for example, they have the same, let me say, shape or the same aspect ratio of the spike that we have on the surface of the COVID. So what is the best selection? We need to find about possible layered nanoparticle, for example. If we think to the use of metallic nanoparticles, the spherical one probably is not the best one. So we need to realize that for example, an elongated shape is the best one for the interaction. As a common virus, we can also try to use the standard procedure that we use for the photo therapy of the material. So if we are going to use photoactive nanomaterials, we can try to destroy the virus by using the photodynamic therapy, for example, by activating the catalyst effect of the nanoparticle while it is interacting with the virus. This is easy to be done, let me say, when we are thinking about the role that have the titanium nanoparticle when we are looking for antibacterial or antimicrobial surface. So we can adapt the same approach to the surface modification of other nanoparticle. We can do use, for example, an easy deliver of the nanoparticle. What is the best way to check the delivery in the body of the nanoparticle? We can do it by using magnetic nanoparticle. So we can fight using external devices, but if you want to introduce the nanomaterial inside the body, we need to check exactly what is the release of the let me say, the antibody, and see how we can track the movement of the body of the nanoparticle inside the body. So we can use the nanomaterials for the equipments. We can try to make a neutralization of the virus by using active nanomaterials. We can try to make it non-active by using phototherapy. So we can use this kind of materials to entrap the virus. And the last option is the use of nanomaterial as a vaccine. That is not easy if you are not completely involved in the specific field. So I will try to include also this analysis, but it's, let me say, out of the interest of the material science. So the next one. How we can use the nanomaterials. So the first things to consider is the shape. So we are in the same size dimension. if we are why nanotechnology seems so useful to fight against COVID. The reason stays essentially in the science effect. So we are more or less, we can control the dimension of the nanomaterial, so we can make a synthesis of the nano entities and try to interact with the shape of the COVID virus, looking at how to entrap different nanomaterials in the spike of the virus. So what we can do is to find strategies to realize and to design new materials that can be natural ones, they can be synthesized, so they can be polymeric ones, they can be inorganic, they can be natural. So the best way to do is to try the correct assembling. So the shape can be reached, for example, by making self-assembly of different peptides or proteins. It seems reasonable to use different kind of nanomaterials. So if we are using inorganic, we can use the active properties of this material towards the bacteria, the viruses, or in the case of the polymeric ones, we can try to design it by a chemical functionalization of the nanomaterial. When I say polymeric nanoparticle, I say micelle-like nanoparticles in which we can try to functionalize in a different manner the different length of the chain of the polymer. So we can try new chain lengths and see if we can easily interact with the virus. So the next one. The next slide. This is an example. In every slide, I put what is the reference article in which you can find the overall description of the approach. In the detection phase, so before fighting against the COVID, we can use the nanomaterials by selecting not only magnetic materials, but even fluorescent nanoparticles that can be easily tracked during the functional use. So we can modify on the surface, for example, quantum dots or magnetic nanoparticle to make it fluorescent and to see how it can be delivered in the body in a different manner. The detection can be done also by using colorimetric based sensors. So I mean, if we are selecting different metallic shape or dimension, for this is an example in which we have the silver nanoparticle. We know very well if we can have a different color response looking at the dimension of the silver nanoparticle. So we can see if the virus is present or not by looking at the different coloring response of the silver nanoparticle during the interaction with the virus and the lighting source. Or we can design a nano object trying to entrap the virus inside. So see if the shape and the dimension is the same, this can be easily recovered. So this is only an idea of how we can detect the viruses. In general, the use of the nanomaterials, the metallic one, is preferable due to the fact that we can easily synthesize different metallic nanoparticles in a different shape, or we can easily modify the metallic ones on the surface in a simple, more simple manner in comparison with the polymeric ones or the natural base nanoparticle. So most of the research and the research activity that has been published recently mostly and strictly related to the use of the metallic nanoparticles. And the next one. So we can divide the role of the nanoparticles if we look at the, let me say, the role of the nanomaterials as a specific drug for the virus. Not only in silver, let me say, silver is the most studied materials because it's the one that is has been already studied in the past, so it's easy to move the state of the art on these materials towards the use a new virus. So if you search for metallic nanoparticles in this field, you will find a lot of information on silver. But not only silver, since as I said, the shape effect is very important. So, for example, there are many papers dealing with the use of layered or shaped graphene oxide, in which we can functionalize on the surface by using silver, for example. And this is easy to be done because if we have a layered material, we have a nanosheet of graphene oxide, for example, we can make a surface more hydrophilic or hydrophobic in a natural way due to the chemistry that we have in the case of the graphene oxide. Even looking at the silver nanoparticles, not only the spherical one, so the cylindrical shape seems the best one to enter the virus, or this is well known. Let me say, we are not discovering nothing new with the COVID because it's I said it at the beginning, is a new virus, but it's a standard one because we can use the same approach that we already know for the viruses in general. So we can try to modify the shape and to try to functionalize. As I said before, it's easy with the metallic ones, but it's not so easy for the polymeric ones. Not only silver, but even copper or gold can be used for the surface modification of the graphene oxide, or we can use the gold of copper at the nanoscale by putting these new nanomaterials in the formulation of the polymeric filaments, or we can try to cover on the surface the polymeric material by using these nanoparticles. So the polymer can interact with the virus by working as an antiviral material. So we can use a polymeric nano particles as a antimicrobial agent. So we can we cannot use the chitosan, for example. It is well known for this its role in against the bacteria. So it's easy to think about the possibility to use a chitosan-based nanoparticles, or we can adjust the shape or the chemistry of the polymeric synthetic polymeric nanoparticle by selecting, let me say, two different materials with a different surface hydrophilicity. No? So we can adjust the delivery of a specific drug that is linked to the surface of the material by selecting polymers that can react to the environment in a different way. So if we can adjust the use of the nanomaterials by selecting, for example, thermoresponsive or pH responsive material, it's easy to be treated with the virus. So the next one. This is already on the market because it's the most easy way to do it. So the preparation of the nanocomposite or a nanomaterial in which we have incorporated new nano entities is easy to be done. So if we can use the nanoparticles or the nanomaterials in general for the modification of the filtering units for the respiratory mask. So we can already found in the market filtering with a silver treatment on the surface. So if we look at the web, you will find this new solution already available for the that actually have not been thought for the use for the specific use with the COVID virus. It's they are being already designed and realized for any kind of virus already present in our environment. We can use the nanosilver for the surface entrapment of the filtering units. We can use the nanosilver to polish and to clean the surface. This is already well done. So why do not use the silver at the nanoscale and in a common ethanol-based solvent for the cleaning of the surface? This is the most easy approach that we can have by dealing with this virus. So we can try to find a solution by spraying on the surface of the medical equipment. What is the main problem by using this approach? The dimension. So this is for the. We have also a question. I think that we can try to make a replay just at the end. As you said, the one that has written in the chat, it is extremely true. We can use the nano products, and is not safe from the point of view of the human, because it's not safe for the body to have a sprayed or inhalated nano materials that actually at this moment are not so well studied. So we are searching for new products, but they are not safe at all. So everything is going to be delivered and studied at this time is not safe. So we are trying to find a solution to the problem, but the real solution is quite far in because it is not strongly related to the development of a new material, but how to solve the interaction of these new nano entities with the body. So the material science has a lot of useful response to the problem, but we are not able to deal with it in a safe way. This is the main limit and the constraint of the use of the nanomaterials. Okay, so the next one. Someone said that we shouldn't treat it as a, let me say, different or a strange virus, because we know that if we are working with the nanoparticles, is like to treat with the viruses due to the dimension of this material. So the only way that we have to solve the question is to make a precise design of our material. So the size is, let me say, as the size dimension, the size effect is very important, because we are dealing with entities that have the same dimension. Actually, the shape is very, very important. So we can have, if we are able to to enter the spikes of the virus by using dendrimers, or we can use a nano patterning of a nano particle, for example, we can be sure that let me say, if we have the same shape of the virus, that's it, let me say, it's a sort of flower in which we can have the spikes. If we can have a similar nanomaterial having the same shape, the interaction at the same dimensional level, we can try to entrap the virus itself. So what we have in mind is the nanotechnological approach in which we can have a patterning on the surface of the particles by using a nano dimension. This is not, let me say, so easy. It's easy to be discussed, but it's not so easy to be done at the lab scale. So the only way to facilitate the death of the virus is to have the same length or the same charge on the surface of the material. So if we are able to have something that neutralize the virus from the let me say surface point of view, we can think about a possible solution. So the next one. The next slide, please. How we can interact? There are many, not only the shape, no, but we can try to find the previous one. Sorry. We can use different bonds that can be more or less that have a different strength. So we can have electrostatic interaction. So we can use, for example, to the carbon dots or the reduced graphene oxide, in which we can have, for example, an electrostatic interaction, or we can think to the easy way to treat the silica on the surface with a surfactant. The standard approach that we have with the salt gel chemistry, so we can apply the same idea to the interaction with the virus. So instead of having only electrostatic interaction, we can also have different hydrophilic or hydrophobic interaction on the surface of the virus. We can have dative bonds, for example. We can adjust the strength of the bonds according to the chemistry of the nanomaterials. This is extremely detailed in the review that I put as a reference in the slide. So the next one. I try to summarize here which kind of material we can use or has been already used to verify the interaction with this kind of virus. So other than the one that we already discussed, so not only metallic nanomaterials that can have magnetic properties, inherent magnetic properties, such as the iron oxide nanoparticles. We can also use, for example, nanoclay. So as material scientists, I think all of us know very well that we can modify the interaction with the bacteria of the nanoclay by using different surfactants. Why do not use the same approach for the interaction with the virus? Or we can use different carbon-based material. So most of them are have been already used for the interaction with the bacteria. We know very well that we can be graphene, not only graphene oxide, but even graphene or carbon-based materials for the interaction with the viruses, and it's easy. So this is only let me say a list of what has been already studied in this last 2 or 3 months by the community. So you can easily find the results of these different nanoparticles looking at the available literature on it. The same approach can be used for the silica. So if we are able to modify, I think we can do it. We can modify the silica nanoparticle with a surfactant. This has been already demonstrated that can control the growth of a bacteria or a viruses. So this is a well-known approach that we can extend to the interaction with the COVID virus. So the next one. The novelty, let me say, that we can introduce in the use of carbon or metallic nanoparticles having a specific shape, as in the case of the nanohorns, is that we can, for example, to use a responsive material for the surface functionalization. I mean, if we can use a thermoresponsive, pH-responsive material, or we can use a photoresponsive or a material that is reacting with the electromagnetic sources, for example, not only the metal ones, but if we are modifying the carbon or the metallic nanoparticles with a material that can interact with the light, we can put together many functionalities. This is I think, the main goal that we should think about for the use of the nanomaterials towards the COVID. Try to find more functionalities on the same nanoparticles. So a fast response, a fast delivery to the body, but at the same time, an easy way to activate the surface chemistry of the nanomaterial and deal with the virus at the same time. So this is another interesting paper in which they use a photoreactive material on the surface of multi-wall nanotubes functionalized with this material and carbonized at the same time. So the next one. This is a paper on the use of the graphene oxide. Let me say that most of the available papers or literature on this subject try to study the problem from a computational point of view, not all of them studied the real interaction with the virus. We know very well what is the limit of this experimental approach. So most of them studied the way to modify the surface charge of the material. So if we, in the case of the graphene oxide, we can modify the geo shades by using lipids or every different proteins that can be interact with the membrane on the virus and can destroy it. So the graphene oxide can be, for example, used for the combination with the filtering instruments. So in a filtering units, in a filter for the mask, we can try that it is not to be done up to now. We can try to spray a water-based graphene oxide solution on the surface of the polyolefin base woven tissue and see if the hydrophobicity can be modified. So say if the graphene oxide can modify the interaction with the water that comes from the external environment. So if the moisture or the humidity diffusion can be altered by using graphene oxide, this is a nice approach to the problem. So the next one. In the case of personal protective equipment that is called PPE, so it's easy to think to the use of the nanoparticle because we do not have to adjust the processing to the new virus. So we can make electrospinning of new metallic doped fibers. We can do nanofibers. So instead of using filtering materials that are the micro scale, we can try to use the nanofibers in which we have embedded the metallic nanoparticle. This is an approach that is already on the market. We have an example here in, not in Italy, but in Spain. There is a company, for example, that has already sent on the market the preparation of the new mask equipment by using nano fibers obtained by containing copper or silver nanoparticle inside. So this is a standard approach. So what we can do is try to load these common materials that we already known with new functionalities. So if we are able to load the graphene oxide instead of the nano silver or the nano copper on the surface of the filter, this could be a solution. So what we can do is try to study a new processing of this material. So how we can adjust the electrospinning when we have, let me say, a shape that can be an obstacle for the electrospinning. So if we have a layered materials, it's not easy to have a filament. So we need to solve the problem from the experimental point of view. How to introduce the sheet graphene oxide in a electrospinning units and covering it with by using the reduction with the silver, for example. This is a goal to be reached by using new materials in a well-known processing step. The next one. New materials that has never been used for this kind of equipments. So the idea is to use the metal organic frameworks that have photocatalytic properties, because we can use metal in a different way. So we can interact with the pathogens by putting on the surface of our filter a MOF that can be modified according to the composition. So a metal organic framework can be adjusted in its composition by selecting, for example, different metals or different, let me say, different interaction with the water or the moisture. So if we can have different level of moisture, or let me say entrapped water inside the overall structure of the metal organic framework, we can modify the interaction with the virus from the environment. So this is another quite new approach to be used for the filtering elements. So the next one. The nanofibers, the electrospan nanofibers, can be also activated by thinking to a plasma treatment. So a way to reuse filtering units is to use a surface treatment. So it's easy to be done with a polyolefin-based TNT, but it's not easy with the biodegradable one. So the research is going to the way to find new biodegradable materials that have the capabilities to entrap the virus and to have the same response to the filtration. But it's not so easy to have a reuse of these materials, as I said before. So we should adjust, for example, the plasma technologies to the new material. So we can treat the polyolefin, polypropylene based filtering units by using a plasma, but it's not easy with the biodegradable material that could have a quite low glass transition, for example. We can try to capture the micro droplets of the water, in which we can have trapped on the inside the virus, by make a surface decoration of the nanofiber. So if we are able to make a precise decoration of the nanofiber, so if we can put titanium or other active materials on the surface of the electrospan material, we can have a fast and high response to the virus by using, let me say, standard material. So the other approach that we should have to fight against the COVID by using the nanotechnology is that we shouldn't find new materials, but we should try to adjust what is already well known from the state of the art about the use of nanoparticles. So the next one. So not only the inherent modification of the filtering units, but we can also, for example, change the surface topography of the filtering materials. So if the filter in the mask has a nanoscale topography, we can try to eliminate the interaction with the virus. The limit in this case, let me say, is the price that the final mask should have. So we can use different surface treated materials, but let me say, the economical point of view should be considered. So there are so many masks used at this time that in theory, the topographical um, functionalization of the material or the organization at the nanoscale can be done, but the cost of the surface treatment could be so high to not be so economic for the market entering. A simple approach could be the covering of an instrument or a mask with a paint or a coating, but even in this case, we are modifying the final recyclability of the material. So it's easy to make a silver-based coating even on a surface of a mask, but how to deal with the recyclability or the end of life of the product. So we cannot, after the use, we cannot easily separate the coating with the nanomaterials. So they are easy way to approach the problem, but the problem became more difficult at the end when we should think about the end of life of these new products. So the next one. This is a nice picture in which it is showed how we can use a different antimicrobial agent to treat with the virus. It's easy. It seems so nice to be seen due to the color, but it actually is a standard procedure. So what is said surface nanocoatings is to try to have an antimicrobial coating on the surface of different material and make a sort of transfer. So you see, it's a sort of round in the scheme what we have. If we can move the virus just on the surface of the coating, and the action is that we can move and make a sort of the naturation of the structuration of the viruses by using antimicrobial agent that can entrap during the movement the virus. This is could be an opportunity, and this can be done by using nanoparticles, by using natural or chemical synthesized polymers that can be put on the surface of the coating. So next one. This is a recent result that was obtained in Israel. So it's results from May, in which they studied and find a coating, a nano coating. They developed a new coating based on natural based nanoparticles. So you can go to the website and see what is the results of this research center. In general, what is the best way to find a suitable nanocoatings for a surface? By looking at the mode of action of the viruses and the possible antimicrobial agent that can easily fight against it. So the way to find a nice coating is to find the correct combination between the virus and the antimicrobial agent at the same way. The next one, we are just more or less at the end of the presentation. This is an approach that is let me say, the most natural that we can use for the treatment of this kind of virus. So we need to use, for example, it is well known that natural extract from food or food waste as an antimicrobial behavior. So if we are able to entrap, for example, this is an opportunity of using curcumin by decorating a polypropylene with a nanostructured titanium on the surface, if we can easily release the curcumin at the nanoscale on the surface of the titanium and polypropylene fabric, we can adjust the release and see how to deal with the virus itself. So we can change, for example, the shape of the titania modification. So we can use different flowers, say nanocactus or nanoflowers shape on the surface of the polypropylene. This is probably the less effective methodology, but let me say probably the most natural one, in which we can use medical plants or herbs for the treatments. So the next one. This is only to conclude this overall discussion that had only the aim to show to all of you what is done now at the global level from the research point of view. We are doing something in our lab. We are a lab in which we study the antimicrobial behavior or natural-based products, for example, and we are studying how these plant extract, for example, can improve the antimicrobial behavior of a surface. But in general, the nano entities or the nanomaterials can easily can try to fight against this new virus in a standard common way. So we need to adjust our knowledge and our know-how to something that seems so difficult to be fighting, but is not true. We need to find a solution in what we already know from the active role of these materials. I found also quite recent letters in which someone said that we can fight again the COVID by using the PICO technology. So it's the first time that I saw this term for the material science technology. So I remember now when, let me say, 10 or 15 years ago, we started to deal with the nanotechnologies. So now someone is going to speak about the PICO technology. So we should find a solution for the COVID by looking at the let me say, atomic interaction. So the nano dimension is not sufficient seems not sufficient to fight against the COVID. So a new science is going to be opened with the PICO dimension. So this is what I had in mind in my presentation in this webinar, to give you an idea of what has been already done in a quite short time. So if you look at the last slide, you see I've reported for your interest the list of the references of the most of the papers that have been published from April up to now. You see all of them are related to 2020, and if you see at the journals, for example, they are only related to the nano, so ACS nanomaterials. So they find the solution to the problems seems to be easily found in the use of the nano or pico materials. So the presentation, I think, is finished. So